Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Respected resource person, honorable dignitaries, dear colleagues, research scholars, and affectionate students. It is really a great pleasure and privilege to present the national webinars organized by Department of Political Science and History in association with IQAC Vidhan Chandra College, Risra. Being the head of the institute, I must congratulate the students and teachers of the both department for organize such national webinar, especially Dr. Deptunu Maji and Dr. Swamindra Mohan বিশ্বাস, as they have taken initiative to organize the national webinar. First of all, I, on behalf of Institute, must welcome the respected research person, Dr. Sabu Thomas, Professor, Department of Political Science, University of Calicut, Kerala, and Dr. Mahesh Ranjan Datta, Associate Professor, Center for Inner Asian Studies, School of IR, JNU, New Delhi. I would be immensely grateful as they have responded to our invitation despite their busy schedule. I also convey my best wishes to our governing body, all members, and also President Dr. Sudip Rai for their moral support to organize the this webinar. I do hope that our participant would reap a sound harvest from the day's discussion. I firmly believe that the day's discussion will be interesting and interesting. Uh, Also, the new research scholars will must benefited from the webinar. I again uh, wish the success of the webinar, and I think uh, webinar uh, success will be success in all respect. Once again, thanking you all, especially our political science department, students, and history department. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you, Professor Maji. Okay, I think I'm audible. Okay, thank you. Okay, and very good morning to you all, and thank you, Professor Maji and Dr. Ramesh, for giving me an opportunity to be here and share my stray thoughts on India and its future. Maybe another thanks to you for giving me an opportunity to meet Professor Mahesh Rajan. So it's friends meeting also. So as agreed, I think I'll be talking for another 10 to 15 minutes. And if it is okay with you, we'll spare some time for discussion. I think it's okay. Actually, we have not met it on physical mode, but still the digital mode keeps us all together and hope that it will permit us further to team together, work together, maybe and win together. Dear friends, we are far apart in terms of geography, literature, culture, climate, and so on. But today we are together because we belong to a nation. That's India. First and foremost, we are Indians. And this is the first statement that we have to keep in mind forever. We were Indians not for a long period of time. We were Keralites, Bengalis, Assamese, Tamils, Kashmiris. For 77 years back, we joined a fraternity called India. And today, we are celebrating the 77th birthday of that fraternity. And surely, this is something to be celebrated. Well, every Independence Day reminds us the hard and painful track that our national leaders have traveled to make the ideal of India a reality. Remember names like Mahatma Gandhi, Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, Patel, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. Well, the list is very long. They have paid or they have taken a lot of pain in making India a reality. But this is also the right time to remember thousands of freedom fighters who worked in the grassroots. And well, I salute them at this moment. A nation is not made up of leaders, but by people. I mean, the ordinary and the normal people living in the cities and at the same time in the remotest corners of a nation. So the idea of a nation comes from the people. Today, when we complete 77 years of independence, we have to look back to what we have attained so far and what we are going to attain in the coming days. Well, the past makes us or gives us enough strength to move towards because our past is a glorious past. But at the same time, as a democracy, India has a lot of issues, like the issues of diversity. Diversity is also an issue. And again, the issues of history. But we have gone beyond that. We had surpassed all these our troubles and made a republic in a big way. So when we look back to our constitution, the preamble starts with a very beautiful statement. I think one of the most beautiful statements that any constitution maker can think of. That we the people. I was speaking about the ordinary and the normal people who made India. Well, we have to acknowledge the leaders, the great leaders, but at the same time, ordinary and normal people. It is the ordinary and not the normal people who makes or who made India like this. So that's why we start with the statement, we the people of India. So the today and tomorrow of India depends on how we think, how we act, how we treat. We cannot leave the game to certain people, certain political parties. It's got to be there. Well, today when we reflect on the progress we have made, we must consider the challenges that lie ahead and the prospects for our future. Today, in his 11th consecutive address from the Red Fort, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, I was hearing him a few minutes ago. He was telling that the people of India. We are capable of making India a developed nation by 2047. And at the same stretch, then on the other side, one of the objectives or one of the statements, dreams that he have given to India is that we are going to electrify all the villages. So we have the two sides. So what I'm telling is that 77 years ago, our nation was born out of the struggle and sacrifice of countless patriots who dreamed of an India where every individual could live with dignity and freedom. And we have founded a nation that is supposed to become the largest, maybe in the long run, the most powerful democracy of the world, and maybe a beacon of peace, a land of diversity and unity. Throughout these years, we have undergone a lot of changes, transformations in terms of constitution, in terms of laws, in terms of our politics, in terms of our political structure and society also. We have grown from a largely agrarian society to maybe now a global economic power. From a nation under the grip of poverty, extreme poverty, and illiteracy. And now we are making strides in education, science, technology, and industry. Our diaspora is across the globe, and we are contributing to the growth of many nations. Well, it is with a great proud that we can assert that our democracy has matured. Our society is trying to become more inclusive, and our democracy is one of the best working models across the world. When we look around our borders or to the outer world, we can see that many of these democratic experiences or experiments, they were bitter experiences in the long run. Very recently, we are seeing what is happening in Bangladesh or in Pakistan, anywhere across the world. Even in the USA, they had a very bad time, maybe 2 or 3 years back. And even now, they are struggling with maybe establishing a better democracy. But we have overcome all these odds. And in that sense, we have built a very nice kind of democracy, particularly in terms of its basic principles like rule of law. And talking about rule of law in terms of maybe the disobedience factor. There are two ways in which a government can be changed. One is by elections, and the other is by dissent or revolution. Well, unlike many of the democracies that started their life with us, maybe in the same labor room, we have almost 50 plus nations. And we are the one and only one nation that has operated democracy in a successful manner. The credit goes not only to the leaders, to the political parties, but to the people of India who were capable of taking bold decisions against all instrumental disadvantages. Let's just look into the state of the status of politics in our state of Kerala. Maybe since 1980, we have alternative governments, except in the last 2 terms. Every 5 years, we change our ruling front. One time it will be LDF, next time it may be the UDF, the Communist and the Congress. So they have alternative terms. It does happen not automatically, but it's people's decision. What I'm telling is that here, whether it is good or bad for a political system or our infrastructures, our development, that's a secondary question. But now the thing is that people has their power, they have exercised their power to take decisions in politics. In that way, our success in democracy is to be attested on that way. Our in India, most of these Indian elections are an attestation of this fact. Well, given that conditions, given that statement of proud and prestige, well, we have to acknowledge that there are issues. Our journey is far from being completed. We have a complex set of challenges. For example, in the area of social justice, in the area of political justice, economic justice, which are our maybe basic postulates in our preamble. Despite our economic growth, the gap between the rich and the poor remains wide. Millions of our fellow citizens, they still struggle with poverty, unemployment, and lack of access to basic amenities. We agree that big highways are being built, big factories are coming, but still the issues still persist. So this is one of the major issues that has to be addressed by the posterity. If you want to build a equitable society where everyone can prosper. So this economic justice and social justice is also connected with what we talk about political justice. Well, in terms of constitution, technically we have established political justice. Everyone has the right to vote. We can contest in elections. Well, all are well and fine. But on the other side, how far you have acquired, how far the millions of Indians acquired the basic knowledge about political system, or how they acquired, how far they have acquired what's the capacity to exercise political freedom. That is the big question. So this capacity building is a very big concern for our society. Again, there are issues like social cohesion. We talk about our diversity as our strength. It gives a beauty, maybe makes India a beautiful garden of diversities. And the constitution very beautifully interwoven that identity into the constitutional structure. Well, that's fine. But at the same time, it is also the root case of many of the challenges like communal tension, linguism, discriminations, regionalism. So, India, in order to become a nation, a strong nation, a powerful nation, we have to look into these issues, particularly this issue of social cohesion. Diversity should be there, but at the same time, that should be managed and probably that should be mapped for a better social harmony. The idea of India should be our topmost priority. Well, in this context, we should also look into our position in the international or global positioning. As of now, maybe for the last 5 to 10 years, we are speaking about an emerging economy. Well, that's a bit true because we are one of the most powerful economy in terms of our in terms of our exports. We have the figure in the financial year 2023-24. Our economic growth is at 7.2%, and in December 2023, my figure says that the Indian foreign reserves has crossed the $600 billion. So, as per fair estimates, by 2047, if the data is correct, or if the data goes like this, India will be crossing the 30 trillion economy mark. So we are in a better global positioning, but that also needs more understanding about our foreign policy and again building big tie-ups. I think that our learned professor from JNU will be in a good position to educate you on that area. So, my concern here is that, or my dream here is that India as a nation has done very well in various sectors, even including social justice. If you look into the constitutional structure, we had a beautiful set of directives, and they are not only directives. If you look into the law book, we can see that many of these directives has been reframed into laws, except one or two articles. So this is a great step towards social justice, again economic justice, political justice. But the inclusive development is still a big concern. True progress can only be achieved only when every citizen benefits from this development. So we have to focus more on healthcare, education, social welfare, and ensuring equal opportunities for all. The thing we have to understand at the ground level is that we have a number of issues that are something new to, or that are something different from what are being faced by these old democracies, particularly our issue of diversity. That's a hindrance in, what's a, in one way, it's a hindrance on bringing inclusive development. Well, I'm not prolonging too much. As we celebrate the 77 years of our independence, let us remember that our freedom was hard won. Our forefathers have did a lot of work. They have traveled a path that has been never taken by anybody else. The India of today is the result of the dreams, sacrifices, and hard work of generations before us. It is our responsibility, particularly the responsibility of the young generation, to carry forward this legacy, to dream, to think, and to think in terms of India. The future of India, as we said earlier, it is not in the hands of the leaders. You may have a different politics, and you have a difference with your political leaders. You have a disagreement about their capability, their mode of operandi. Well, I agree with you. But the problem here is that whenever the people, young people with good mindset and well capabilities, when they are not ready to embrace this responsibility with determination, courage, well, then things will go like this. If the young generation, you people, are ready to take up this challenge, enter into this politics. I'm not talking about talking about politics as a vacation or as a profession, but enter into discourses, debates. Then this can change. So I hope that we can overcome all these challenges and we can realize our potentials that our nation holds. So may we continue to be inspired by the ideals of our freedom fighters and we strive to build an India that's a beacon of hope, progress, and peace in the world. Thank you. Thank you for your patience in hearing me. I hope that is right time to wind up. Thank you, Manji.
Namaskar, and thank you so much, Dr. Devatanu, for inviting me and giving an opportunity to speak along with an esteemed professor, Dr. Sabu Thomas. And I'm also grateful to the principal of the college for the sending me the written invitation. And I'm really grateful to Dr. Korsar. And after the rounding up by Professor Sabu Thomas, I think I have very few things to say, but I have like uh, given my own views from A to Z as of the India's journey since independence for the last 7 decades or more. And at the outset, let me say, because uh, as I will start from A is Akhand Bharat. After endless suffering at the hand of many external powers, including the British, India got independence on 15th of August 1947, and still we are not able to forget those harrowing days of the partition also, and where at the present juncture we need that unity of the nation, integrity of the nation, and solidarity of the nation. And then I move to the B, that starts with the British Raj, which has been an alien, arrogant, aggressive, imperialistic, hegemonistic, colonial, and the Indians, the 40 crores Indians at that point of time, they fought together, that led to the end of 300 years of rule. And but the again, as I repeat again, but the plight was like partition of India into two states. So that was also end of the Akhand Bharat, the concept we have been considering for the almost last so many centuries. And see, that is the Constitution of India on 26th January 1950, which was a red letter day. And since that day, Constitution of India has become the conscience keeper of our country. And even though more than 100 amendments have been brought, and in the last 77 years, the Constitution has not failed. Rather, it has played a key role in maintaining law and order and keeping our democracy intact. Then the D, again, the democratic setup we have been talking about. But India is by far the largest parliamentary democracy in the world, and of which elections has been an important part of this. Recently, election, as you saw, that Janta has become the Janardhan, the people's power. In a democracy, you see that people's power is the highest power. And in our democratic setup also, we have seen democratic decentralization of the highest form in the last 7 decades. And when I start with E, I talk about economic restructuring. When our country became independent 77 years ago, the biggest challenge was the economic restructuring and nation building. And since then, we have not looked back, we have not trailed behind. There are 5 year plans, there are regular annual budgets, economic reforms, and that have led to self-sufficiency in food grains. We have witnessed massive industrialization in our country, and that to infrastructure development. We have seen development in road, railways, ports, airports, and also in the telecom sector. When I begin with F, then we talk about we should not forget our freedom fighters, the unsung heroes of our country, before independence and after independence also. Before this lecture, I was just attending a small congregation in my society where I live in. They all talked about the sacrifice our countrymen before independence had made, and the present also, the soldiers, the nurses, there are so and so forth. They have sacrificed their lives for the betterment of our country. If I move to G, I talk about global South. You all have seen at the G20 summit at New Delhi in 2023, which has become the culmination of our efforts to become the leader of the underdeveloped and the developing world. That has the outcome has been significant. And the most important part of this global South is to introduce to adapt the concept of global South among the people of this country through organizing programs, workshops, conference throughout the country in the last 1 year. And and the next is the human resources. When I talk about human resources, our country is the number one of the world's number one country of having the highest number of people, more than 1.42 billion people. And from 40 crores at the time of independence to 140 crore, more than 3.5 times better. The most populated country in the world, replacing China. And this demographic dividend is going to augur well for the country. Then if you see idea, intellect, and introspection, the idea of a new and advanced India, a peaceful, progressive, and prosperous India cannot be ruled out, where optimum use of our intellect is a must, and there should be introspection of over India's challenges and finding necessary measures to ward off those challenges. Then judicial activism, that starts with J. Judicial, as you have seen, the important part of our democratic setup. It has remained the watchdog of our country, watchdog of our political process and executive process in the country. And three important pillars of the judiciary, if you see, the activism, you can see that need to be mentioned here. A, securing the basic structure of the constitution. Even though there are efforts, but the basic structure of the constitution has not been amended. And there are a number of landmark judgments to give justice to the common citizens. And three, the judicial review process that make that judiciary is a prominent, a significant part of our democratic setup. When I talk about K, there is a kaleidoscope. India's rich cultural exports, music, fine arts, literature, spirituality. And so that has led to cultural efflorescence in our country and abroad, which has been termed by soft power in the modern IR parlance, international relations parlance. The cultural capital our country does have has been a major factor in India's relationship with the countries abroad, in the neighborhood and also outside the neighborhood. When I talk about L, the process of liberalization, you all remember that India trekked into the world of liberalization and globalization, a market economy that led to rapid strides in agricultural industrialization. And because of that, India has become the top 5 economies of the world, the 5th largest, and which is also aiming to become the 3rd largest in the world in the coming times. And the most important thing of our economic journey is that even during the time of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, India remained the fastest growing economy. And the aim of the present India, we all are aiming at a 5 trillion US dollar economy in the coming times. When I talk about M, I talk about multilateralism. India, from the beginning, has believed in multilateralism. If you remember India's position on the sidelines of the 77th UN General Assembly meeting in 2022, okay, is there any query? Okay, because I'm receiving some messages. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. And on the sidelines, in the 77th UN General Assembly meeting in 2022, we talked about reformed multilateralism, and UN will be at the vanguard. UN has to play the lead role instead of any particular country. And the main pillars of this reformed multilateralism is peace and security, development, and human rights. The next is N is non-alignment. That has become a major important aspect of India's foreign policy since the beginning. During the Cold War period, if you remember that there was a bipolar world, the US and the USSR. India did not, even though it has a favorable tilt towards the USSR, but it did not support any particular bloc. Rather, it remained non-aligned. That led to the birth of the non-aligned movement, and India led from the front. Even though there are some criticism, the NAM is still relevant, and India is also playing an important role in it. And then you have the Panchashil. When I talk about Panchashil, P, and I forgot to O, I talk about the omnipotence and the omnipresence of the people of the country who have played a significant, remarkable role in shaping up the country's destiny. When I talk about Panchashil, that starts with P, the one of the along with non-alignment, it has remained an important ingredient of India's foreign policy in the last 7 decades or so. 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, as it is popularly known as. The first one is mutual respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Mutual non-aggression. The number 2, C, mutual non-interference. D, equality and mutual benefit. And E, peaceful coexistence. To my utter surprise, perhaps to your utter surprise, to the world surprise, recently the Chinese president Xi Jinping has also talked about Panchil on the sidelines of a conference. So how it has remained relevant, one can easily measure. And then I move to Q, that start with Quit India movement. The relevance, the importance, the historical importance of Quit India movement has become a watershed in Indian history. But at present, we need a Quit India in a new form, and then a new tone and tenor, and to rid of all social maladies. And the maladies I talk about, poverty. Still, many poor people are there under the below poverty line. There is massive inequality in our country. The rich and poor gap is there. There is gender disparity too. And the most important economic issue at the present juncture is unemployment. So I think we should vow to have a Quit India. These social maladies should quit India at the earliest, so that the dream of making India one of the important countries, important force to reckon with on the global corridor can be achieved. Then when I talk about R, I talk about resources, natural resources. Our country is a depository of important mineral and natural resources, and also water and other resources. The need of the hour is the effective mobilization of resources. And the government has been trying, even at various levels, we should make efforts to mobilize the resources for the betterment of our country. When I begin with S, I always believe that science and technology should also are also important. These are keys to the progress and development of our country. You have seen how India has become an IT superpower, information technology superpower. How we have become a leading nation in basic sciences. How we have achieved immeasurable success in the space technology and aviation technology. How we have done marvels all across the globe in biotechnology, and how we have become the pharmaceutical capital of the world in the last few years. The latest technologies, artificial intelligence, blockchain, 5G, we are also talking about 6G. So these technologies have been used in various ways in achieving good governance of our country, which the countrymen, the policy makers, the decision makers, they are talking about. Then I talk about territorial integrity. I have already talked about in the B and the other sections also. And territorial integrity is an important requirement of a nation state in modern and contemporary times. You all people know that our country has some portion of our territory have been occupied by our neighboring countries also. You have seen there is Chinese occupied Indian territory in the Oxai Chin and the Saskam Valley and other places also, and it has been regularly also like making incursions into our territory. Then there is a Pakistan occupied Indian territory also. So when we talk about territorial integrity, we should also talk like we should make efforts how to secure, how to safeguard the territorial integrity of our country. The next most important, and we believe, we have witnessed, we have seen, and right now also we have been watching unity in diversity. That has become the hallmark of Indian society since its inception. There are diversities of ethnic, there are linguistic diversities, there are regional diversities, there are economic, religious, class and caste groups, various caste and class groups also. There are immense urban and rural differences also. There are gender distinctions as well. Even there are North India and South India, some people also they talk about, but there is still unity in diversity. And that we have witnessed during the time of the exigencies, that we have seen the recent, as rightly pointed out by Professor Sabu Thomas, the Wayanad, the horrible situation in Wayanad. Now all the people, they have extended their support. This is unity, and we have seen it during the war, during the warlike situation, and also during the natural disasters. So the next is Vikshit Bharat. I should not be partial that somebody may doubt me to toe the government line. But if it is a government line and if it is for the betterment of our country, I think as an Indian citizen, I must support this one. And today, as I was hearing before this lecture, the statements, the speech made by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi from the ramparts of Red Fort on the 78th Independence Day of India. If 40 crore Indians could fight for Indian independence in 1947 and achieved it, then 140 crore Indians can achieve the Vikshit Bharat, the developed India by 2047. This is a comprehensive vision plan by the government, the present government. It aims at transforming India into a developed nation by its 100th anniversary of independence in 2047. The main focus of the development are economic growth, vibrant economic growth, social progress, environment sustainability, good governance. And then I move to the W. W is 50% of our population, the women power, the greatness of India's culture, India's ancient culture, India's society, politics, and economy also. If you see, the highest and the honorable place is given and granted to the women. They have been the keepers of our family. They have been the keepers of our country. They have also been the keepers of our conscience. They have achieved excellence in all the sectors at present. And it is needless to mention that the role played by the women organizations. I was talking to one person in because I belong to the state of province of Odisha. I was speaking to some of my friends in Odisha when we discussed about the 25 years of the Biju Janata Dal led by the Navin Patnaik government. What was the secret behind that? You'll be very surprised that millions of women in Odisha, they were given priority. They were part of the self groups, and they were also, I'm sorry to say this, they were also the vote bank of the government at that point. That led to 50% of the voters, when they are voting for a particular party, they will definitely do better and they'll rule the country. And Z, I could not, sorry, okay, the X factor. I talk about the X factor, the new generation. The new generation is going to take India to the acme of success in the coming times. That is a belief. And 27%, the average age of, as I speak in the next, the youth power, the average age of our Indian is 29 years. One of the youngest populations in the world is found in India, and they can play immeasurable role in the nation building process of the country. If you correctly remember at the outset, I talked about nation building. It is an important requirement at the present juncture. So engaging the youth in the ideation process by soliciting their innovative ideas and perspectives for national development projects is also the need of the hour. They can be used in technology. They can be they can have access to education, healthcare, and environment sustainability. And since I did not find a suitable for the Z, I said Zindabad India. And thank you and Jai Hind. Thank you, Samindra Mohan Biswas ji. And you have not asked a question. Perhaps you have answered it. And you are absolutely right that whenever any government, and then that's just say, when a government is immersed in arrogance of power also, then the janta shows the door, and they have shown the door. So that is why the government is right now, because they were very, yes. Is there any question? Yeah. So the Janta, they have shown the government door. And right now, if you in the last 3 months, if you see the body language of the present Prime Minister also, and if you see the government also, and also you see the role of the opposition, if you go through the constitution, if you see if you find out the role of an opposition leader in our country, now after 10 years, you see there is a strong opposition. What is the meaning of a strong opposition? If any government does anything in a very authoritarian way, or any that goes against the government, the people of the country, then the janta shows the way. Okay, so that is why, thank you so much for this wonderful question. And if you want any other thing related to this also, I am ready to answer this one. But actually, they have got the election verdict is not in favor of a particular government. The election verdict is actually in the favor of the people of the country. I think he has another question. I think that he has talked about the preamble is to be removed from the educational book. We know, sir, preamble is the basis of our constitution. So do not think that students have the right to know. You are absolutely right. Preamble is known as the prologue of the constitution. Preamble is known as the preface of the constitution. Preamble is the mirror that through which the beauty of our constitution is reflected. So there have been many efforts in the past also. So, but there are so many amendments. But as I repeated in one of my statements, that they have not been successful in changing, in making any change in the basic structure of our Indian constitution. As far as your concern is, it will take a lot of efforts, not at the ministry level or whatever. It is at the legislature level. In the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, you see, and perhaps they will be rebutted by the strong opposition at the present juncture. Yes, okay, thank you so much, Dr. Joita, for this question. I was expecting this question from anyone, but again you intervened. Thank you so much. And actually, if you ask yourself whether the woman is actually, I believe I start from the family, which is the smallest unit in our society. So that I have seen in my family. My mom is a leader. My mother is a leader. And she is also the keeper of my conscience, the conscience of my family. As you have rightly talked about that the status of women, the position of women that has gone, that has reduced, that has descended to that has reduced to a very, very abysmally low situation at the present juncture. But you also accordingly, I can give you one example here, which I normally give to my research methodology students. Ma'am, if I give you a plain white paper and with only one black dot, you will not look at the 99%, rather you will look at the 1% of that black dot. So there are 99% positive things. You see how they have been excelling in the global corridor. You go to the corporate sector, now you see them in the legislation. But if you look at the number, if you look at the number, then of course we have failed. Of course we have failed, and there are a lot of things to be done. And many political parties, many social organizations, many voluntary organizations, many women organizations, they have been trying day and night to bring this issue to the forefront. Thank you, ma'am. I think there was one, I think somebody raised his her hand, Mr. Shalendra or something I saw. Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Devatanu. And it's a very, very difficult question you ask, and it is really very difficult to wipe out unemployment because it's so many things are related to this. And since 1947, our government, even the non-government organizations, they have been trying. There are so many these are also related to so many other economic issues of our country also. So what the only one suggestion I can give, that it is not, we should not think that it is the lookout of the government only. There should be a combined endeavor. In one sentence I'll list, there should be a combined endeavor from all sections of the society, and of course it will be taken care of by the government, that the highest role should be played by the policymakers of the country. But there should be a combined endeavors by all sections of the country, both government and non-government, private, all the sectors. That you see new things are coming up, new avenues are coming up. For example, last 4 5 years 6 years, you see the startup. Now the government is giving priority to the people to become enterprising, to become entrepreneurs, and also to become to self employment. There are so many self employment schemes. The need of the hour is to find out the root of the problem, a to and find out the like to make regular consistent endeavor to find out the measures for this also. And the third part, the C part, is the implementation part. So I think these things I have in my own mind, and I think I could be able to answer your question. There is one
Tanu,
more hand,
can I ask
Amendra.
one question?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir, and good morning, good afternoon, and happy Independence Day. Taking cue from my friend and colleague Dr. Jitsan, I'm just asking one question that Modiji's actually formula is to make in India, everything is to be made in India, and that's one of the say the programs is Viksit Bharat. But
Okay.
as you see that regarding the military sectors, the uh, homemade say military equipments and other things that are to be developed not only for India only, but they are supposed to be exported. But in recent times, yeah, I think from the newspapers that we see, it's very disappointing that there are few takers, especially from the foreign countries, regarding India's equipments and India's aircraft carriers. Aircraft. For example, Argentina already rejected India's proposal. Malaysia also has rejected this. And I think some African states are showing interest in Indian manufacturing equipment. So, what do you think about the self-made programs that Modi ji has tried to focus, and he is also preparing for Viksit Bharat 2047 Vision India? So, how do you think that it will come up to the mark?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And again, I say I have a very simple answer to this question. You are absolutely right that in so many fronts, the products, we have not made the quality level of the Western countries or other countries have set up. But if you see in the other sectors, for example, you see Atmanirbhar Bharat Yojana. Now India has been in the last 5 years. You see, the India has been an exporter of billions dollars of worth of military equipment, defense equipment. So if these are not good, why Armenia will buy from India? Why Vietnam will buy from India? Why Philippines will buy from India? And there are so many other countries also. So we cannot talk about any particular product. Okay, there are many products. For example, you see the tiger prawns from Odisha. These are exported to many Western countries, even the southeastern countries. That we cannot eat in our own country, which is very expensive, 1,500 or 1,600 rupees per kg. But these are all exported. That means there are some quality. Similarly, also you see the Make in India, for example, I came across a news that now Australia is using the metro wagons. These are all manufactured in India under the ambit of the Atmanirbhar Bharat. So there are few things are there which are not accepted, and there are also many. When you talk about defense, this is a strategic asset. Why Armenia is the number, the India provides something around 92%. 92% the defense need of Armenia. Recently, I had visited. I met some people there. They are very happy. They are buying so many things. And if you see, my dear friend, if you see that if you are a regular like observer of the stock market index also, then you see how many different stocks have risen like anything. The price of the defense stocks have increased like anything. You see the Mazda, you see the Hindustan Aeronautics. So there are various sides to this issue. In many cases, our products are accepted, and in many cases, our products are. I can give you so many examples. Also, for example, you see the locally produced handicrafts are also used in the Western countries also. So not all are rejected. Few things are. That means the focus is how to maintain the quality control. Let me give you another example to this. If you are not writing a good piece or good article, it will be rejected by the reviewers, by any Scopus Index journal. So that means you have to focus on quality. The need of the hour, as you have rightly pointed, the need of the hour is to focus on quality of India, so that tomorrow, instead of any outside made in outside products, that will be make in India products that will be accepted by one and all. Similarly, if you see the made in China products, what is your observation? What is your opinion about the made in China products? But the same made in China products, when they send it to America, when they send it to export it to Europe, they maintain the quality. Because in our country or the underdeveloping countries, the importers, they want very good products, but in very cheaper prices. So as per the price, you get the quality. So again, the focus is shifted to quality. So we have to focus on the quality. Thank you so much. I think
Thank you.
Dr. Abhishek was raising his hand. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Am I audible? Thank you, Dr. Devta. It's a virtual meeting after a long time.
Thank you so much.
I'm really pleased to hear your lecture. Actually, it is really, you have presented in a new, unique way, A to Z. Really like it. My question is I think India's vision, Viksit Bharat, it is quite achievable, and the way our Prime Minister is saying, we are seeing some hope in it. But the thing is for what I'm wondering actually, that is what about the usurpation of government from the educational sector? I think it is an unwanted indifference, whether it is state government or central government, that the public funded education sector is quite suffering from fund and etc. It was decided that 6% of total GDP will be spent in the educational sector, but that is not reachable yet. So what is your take on it on the eve of 78th Independence Day of India?
Yeah. Again, thank you so much, my dear friend, Dr. Abhishek, and wonderful to have you here as in the during the conference. And you are absolutely right. People like you, me, and all the academics of our country, they are very worried about the educational sector in our country. And perhaps the educational sector has not got the due it should have got. And right now, there are many concerns raised by many sectors, different sectors, to how to spruce up, how to smarten our education, how to make it at par with the global standards. Okay, so that efforts has been, and of course the government needs to provide substantial package for the educational sector, because when you talk about Viksit Bharat, education is one of the main pillars of Viksit Bharat. If education is not developed, then perhaps the dream of Viksit Bharat will get the major setback. So now government has its own ideas. Government has its own plans also. There is also, you have seen the national education, new education policy also. And what I personally feel that, if you recently also you have seen the NIRF ranking, despite the lack of or a lesser amount of support from the government, the people, the academics who actually want to excel in their own area, they have done a lot of work. They are going to attend the conferences, seminars on their own also. They are also publishing in quality journals. They're also bringing out quality publications in the form of books and others also. So this process is going on. But again, we all, on behalf of you also, and on behalf of all the academics of the country also, I make a request through this that the government should focus more on education in the coming times. What is the But there is one more question by Manisha Shaw. What was the experience of 15th August 1947? Okay. So what exactly she does want to know from me? Because I was not born at that time. What I have read, what I have learned, what I have listened, and that only I can share with you. But the biggest two things I can say, the biggest achievement is the freedom we got from the yoke of British imperialism, and almost 200, 300 years of slavery, you can say, and a lot of pain. And but the biggest setback also in the form of like the partition of the country. And you imagine, I always think, had Pakistan been part of India, had Bangladesh been part of India, India would have been a huge country with huge resources, with huge potential of human resources and natural resources also. And since I always I teach, I deal in Central Asia, so the biggest disadvantage for India is not having a border with Central Asian region, which after 1991 has become a theater of, you can see, a major depository of natural resources, particularly the hydrocarbons. At the present juncture, when we are moving ahead to become, for example, you say an advanced nation by 2047, we need a lot of energy. We are a energy deficient country. And so we are dependent on the Middle East, the Persian Gulf regions for our energy needs. But when in 1991 we got an opportunity to diversify our energy requirement, we have the biggest problem, biggest disadvantage. We didn't have any direct land border with the Central Asian country. So if many times I talk to my students, speak to my students also, I say that had Pakistan been part of the greater India, what we talk about, then from the border of Gilgit-Baltistan to Tajikistan border over the Wakhan corridor, it is only 35 kilometers. During the Silk Route era also, the people from our country, they used to walk down, they used to go by caravans also to Tajikistan, and from Tajikistan you can enter into the other parts of Central Asia. So that was the biggest disadvantage. So then I think the biggest setback, the biggest happiness is India's independence on 15th of August 1947, and the biggest setback also that happened on 14th of August 1947. What is the right? There is
Yes,
one
sir.
right way to celebrate independence. The right.
Hello.
Okay, okay, okay. Sabu sir is leaving, I think. Yeah,
Yes, sir. First of all, happy Independence Day, sir. In the era of digital India, sir, we can see lot of social media is, most active than ever. So, how do you see the role of social media platforms and digital activism groups influencing political discourse and policy changes in today's India?
yeah, that's it. Thank you for a very different question also. And though I am not an expert on like media things and the digital technology, but I will try to answer your question. Of course, you are absolutely right that in the last few years, maybe half a dozen years, social media has become the mouthpiece of the people who cannot openly come and raise their voice and voice their protest against anyone, be he or it a person or a government or whatever, or any organization also. They can just drop down two lines, raising their voice and voicing their protest also. Okay, so that has become it. But the best part of what I understand, the best part of social media, what I have understood, is a concept of crowdfunding. Okay, so how through crowdfunding, I have seen in so many cases, particularly a person who is in need of some money or need of some help, people of the country cutting across any party lines, any ideology, or any political affiliation, they have supported the person who is in dire need of any resources. So that is the best part I have understood. And you are absolutely right that you have seen in many cases also, that you have seen from the Arab Spring to the recent crisis in Middle East, also in Bangladesh, on our neighborhood also. It has played an important role, but I think in some cases some excesses are also done, where some such elements and such like such like snippets or something is shown which is not actually required. And if it is helping the people in some way or other, if it is helping the government in some way or other, then that is always welcome. Thank you, Saransu. Geeta. Okay. Thank you, Gita, for this question. It is more personal. It is more, but I will always, I believe also, it is up to a person. It is up to you how you can celebrate your Independence Day. There is absolutely no need of hoisting a flag, but these are some of the, or playing the national songs, but these are some of the symbolic, there are the to remember, symbolic ways to remember our past, remember the sacrifices of our the forefathers, remember the sacrifices of our who contributed largely to achieve this independence, and to also feel pride in your Indianness, the Bharatiyata. Okay, so that is, and that only you are the best judge to choose in which way you should celebrate the Independence Day. Okay. Kavita Re. Okay. Thank you, Kavita. You are absolutely right. We are actually there is, but as I told you earlier, even though Hindi is well accepted because a large number of people they speak in India, but since Britishers were here for 200 years, and now English has become the main, you can say the main lingua franca all across the country, all across the globe also. And many of the, since the entire world was ruled over by the Britishers, they left their shades there, they left their footprints there. And that is why we have been, but in many cases, as you have seen, that in the government files also, even the sometimes we get the circulars, these are all circulated in Hindi. Okay. And suppose if you remember, I had mentioned about the north south divide. In the south part of India, they don't like Hindi, they all speak in English or in their native language. So but the country has come like has no innovation for these things. The people have also no innovations. Again, you are free to choose Hindi or English or whatever to for your future study or job or whatever. But in most of the government, even in some of the provincial governments also, you see they they are providing everything in their local language. I have seen it in Tamil Nadu also, I have seen it in Odisha also. I don't know about West Bengal. So they also, so language is not an issue, but never ever English has overpowered Hindi or any Indian language. If you go back to 3rd century AD to 8th century AD, when Buddhism was very prominent and relevant in the entire region, from India to Afghanistan to Central Asia to Mongolia to some parts of China also, Sanskrit was the main lingua franca. Okay, Sanskrit is our language. If you go back to the ancient history of our country, Sanskrit was the main lingua franca. Even many of the words in Bengali, Odia, they are all taken from Sanskrit. Okay, so I think language should not be an issue at the. I think I could be able to answer, or I don't know. Kavita, is it okay? But one must learn English, but not to make an adult, because today we divided into English medium, English medium, rich student. No. Kavita, you are mistaken. Even I started to learn English at the age of almost 9 in the 4th class. So there is no such. This is people we have created. That is an English medium which is rich one, and there is Hindi medium. And what is rich and poor also very subjective thing. Who is a rich? I will give you one example. The recent example. You must have heard about or seen something about the Ambani's son's marriage. You saw something 5,000 crores of rupees he spent for his son's marriage. Okay. But I got a meme on the social media the other day that this Ambani is a very conjuice one. Every average Indian, they spend 30% of their total income for the marriage of a boy or a girl. Okay, their son or daughter. But this guy, he spent only 0.5% of their total income, the net worth. So that's why it's a very difficult. In many of these schools also, many rich people also, they also prefer the Hindi medium schools. And of course, because they have money, they can go abroad and they can have much better education there. But in India, many of in the Hindi medium schools also, English is taught. Even the local, the mother Indian language is also taught. So that should not, that is no division at all. The division is created by us only. We say that that school is better. Suppose tomorrow you are studying, today you are studying in a college, you will say that this college is better because the academic, the lecturers are very good, the teachers are very good, because the facilities are very good, because the libraries. So it's very subjective. There are so many parameters to say one institution good one and the other one is a bad one, and one who is studying in other institution, he or she will have the parameters, the different parameters as well. So the definition of rich and poor and English medium, I think is totally not okay. Okay. Yeah. Rup Singh, you are absolutely right. When something happens, it does have some effects. It does have some impacts. It does have some uh, like influences as well. And as you know, Bangladesh is not just a neighbor. Bangladesh before 1947 was part of India. So these people we consider as our own people, and even a significant number of, suppose you say, Hindu people also, they are living in Bangladesh. So we have concerns, we have care for them, we also think about them. And the most important thing, that if any chaotic situation on your neighborhood happens, that will definitely impact your own peace, your own progress, your own prosperity also. So now because you know what had happened, it is already happened. Now the uh, both the government, there is an interim government on the other side of the border, there is an very government in India also. Now they are mulling over various facets of this problem, and how not to how they are also thinking of how these problems, these chaotic situation should impact their relationship. You see, in the last 15 years, we have built up a very good rapport with our neighbor. Okay. So both the government will not want, because there are economic issues involved, there are strategic issues involved, there are political diplomatic issues involved, there are ideological issues involved. So there are so many issues involved. So I think both the decision makers of both the countries, they must be mulling over how to get rid of this situation and how to take their relation to a new high. Thank you.